and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel to each and every one of you guys. And well, I am not happy, and I'm sure that you are not either. None of us are right now. We are frustrated, we are angry. I think what we saw last night only follows on really from what we saw against Atletico Madrid. There was supposed to be a response yesterday. We were supposed to hit back, we were supposed to show something against Girona. All that we have done is lose top spot in La Liga. And today, again, it is time for some honesty. It is time for some more honesty about this team, about what we are seeing right now, about the style of play, about the lack of planning. It is all coming up. Let's lay it all on the line and address Barca's current problems. It's coming up for you. So let's do this. Because okay guys, before we even really begin, before we get into it here, let's just once again say there was a horrid decision that was made, of course, that had a massive impact on the game. It resulted mainly in Girona winning it. It was their winning goal there. There was a clear foul on Jules Koundé in the build-up to the goal. There's no getting around that. It was clear, it was obvious, there is a stamp. Whether or not it's intentional, it's irrelevant. You know what? I hear Girona coming out after the game saying, oh, well, it was accidental. It doesn't matter. It takes out Koundé. I mean, if you just take out a player and then score a goal as a result, it doesn't matter whether it was intentional, doesn't matter whether it was accidental. The fact is that it happened. It should have been checked by VAR. Why wasn't it there? Why wasn't that decision overturned? And again, this is my problem. You've got referees who are dreadful, who cannot do their job, or at least the job that apparently they're out there to do. They cannot do that to save their life. And then we've got VAR, and they're in there too. We've got idiots running the technology. How can we expect to get the right decision? Because they do not know what is going on. And that's the thing about VAR. When this decision now it isn't checked, they don't bother to look at it, they don't even see, what's going on there. It feels more calculated. When you get the wrong call with VAR, it feels a lot more purposeful there in the decision making. That is all that I will say on that. So yeah, it was another terrible decision, much like we saw against Atleti. But what I also have to say is, that does not excuse our performance. Because yeah, certainly in this game, we were up against it. I mean, yeah, we created chances. We're going to come on to that as well, because I don't want that to be an excuse either. But yeah, against Girona here, they're down the bottom of the league. They're struggling in La Liga this season. They are not a team that you'd say, oh wow, they're a really strong team. They're going to cause you problems. They should not be causing Barca the kind of problems that we saw yesterday. I mean, look at Joan Garcia. Look how many times there he was forced into action. We were reliant upon our goalkeeper. And it's not the first time. If it's a one-off game here where you say, oh, well, our goalkeeper, he had to be good. He had to be really good in this game. We had to rely on him. If that was a one-off, you say, well done, it was a great performance. But I think Joan Garcia, after this game, he summed it up perfectly. He said, we are conceding way too many chances. We concede far too easily. He said, look, I'm making saves. Certainly I am. But that's not good. This is not a good thing. It is not something to celebrate here if I have to make that many saves. And to be honest, guys, he probably feels no different to what he felt last season when he was playing for Espanyol, when they were a team under pressure, when he was getting shots raining down on him constantly. He probably thought he was going to come to Barcelona and have a bit more protection. But we are wide open defensively. We are reliant. We are dependent on our goalkeeper. And it doesn't matter who you play, it doesn't matter who you are, that is never ever going to be a recipe for success. Which brings us then on to the style of play. And again, guys, can we just remove another excuse here from things that we hear, things that people say? A lot of people will claim, oh, well, Barca yesterday, as they do in most games, they had a lot of chances, they created a lot of chances, we missed chances in this game. So, you can't blame Flick, you can't blame the style of play, nothing's going wrong. If we'd have just finished our chances, we would have won. Guys, that is not an excuse. You can't come here every week and say, oh, well, if we'd have just scored more, we would have won. Well, that's literally how football works. I mean, if we would have conceded less yesterday, we would have won as well. And that is essentially what this system is. You have to score 3, you have to score 4, you have to score 5 every single game to win. That is what this system is, because there's no defensive play. There is no defending, which means that basically the chances that you create That's what we sacrifice with the defending. We push forward so high, we're so high up the pitch, we're so offensive that the chances are obviously going to come. But yeah, with this system, you have to take them every game, which is unlikely because, footballers, they're not robots. They are going to miss. There is going to be moments where you don't take every chance. And that is the risk that you take. And what I would say here about the system is, because again, after games like this, after performances like this, whether it's Hansi Flick, whether it's players, whether it's media, they're commenting on the style of play, a lot of people will say things like, oh, well, we just need to press better. We just need to be more intense. We need to work harder. We need to focus more. Let's not think too much about the style. Let's just do those things better. For me, it's not that simple. You can't just tell me right now, looking at this Barcelona team, that, oh yeah, if we just press a bit better, if we're just a bit more intense, everything will be miraculously solved. That is nonsense. When you watch this team over the course of this entire season, there are glaring holes in this setup. It doesn't matter if you press perfectly. It doesn't matter there if you're the most intense team ever. I don't believe you can do this for 90 minutes across a season there of 70 games, 80 games in a season. It can't be done. And I look at the style of play right now, and my first feeling is, last season was the chance. Last season was the opportunity for us to take everybody by surprise. When Flick came in, nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw what he did with that Barcelona team in the Champions League there. We were tearing things up against Real Madrid. The Clásicos were incredibly one-sided. The element of surprise was there. You had every single player fresh, fit, buying into this style 100%. And last season was our time to capitalise on all of those things that were going our way with regard to the style of play. We had the opportunity in the Champions League. We should have beaten Inter, but again, it's the defending. It's conceding the amount of goals that we were. It caught up with us in the end. And even at the end of last season, opponents started to get wise to what Barca were doing. They started to understand where you could exploit the system, where you could get in behind us, the kind of passes you need to play, the kind of things you need to do, and people got wise to it. This season now, we've been found out. We have been well and truly found out. And the problem is, if you don't adapt, if you don't show any kind of willingness here to just change things slightly, I'm not saying tear it up, I'm saying little tweaks that make it unpredictable. In modern football, it's about adapting right now. You look at the teams around Europe, you look at the teams who are at the best right now, they weren't the best 2 or 3 years ago. The style of play changes, things move on, things evolve, things progress. And I just think right now, especially with Hansi Flick, and guys, you've got to acknowledge here, there is a whole situation, there is a whole story surrounding Hansi Flick's second seasons. Because ultimately, the players are finding it tough. You look at the players out there, you look into their eyes, they are struggling to play this system. They are struggling to keep it going for every minute of every game. And what you also have to bear in mind here, with the offside trap, with that defensive line, number one, it puts everybody on edge. Barca players have spoken about the fact that they struggle to sleep at night. Defenders there thinking about that high line, thinking about the fact that they are right on the edge constantly. It can play with your mind. What you also have to take into account is, although the offside flag goes up, although in the end we often get the right calls with VAR, etc., every single time, every time that ball goes over the top, those defensive players, those midfield players, they have to sprint back. They spend so much time sprinting for a lost cause. They think it's offside, they're pretty sure that it's offside, but they can't just stand on the halfway line. They can't just expect the linesman to bail them out immediately. That doesn't happen now in modern day football. So every time you've got to use all of that energy to chase back, to sprint back, and it's all basically for nothing. And you're doing that time and time and time again. It's mentally breaking down these players. They are physically on the edge right now. And that brings me on to my next point. And this is why it's not all on Flick. It's not all about the style of play. Maybe we'd be able to do more with it. Maybe we'd be able to look a little bit more like last season if at least we had a full squad of quality players who could play this way. Because look here, guys, as much as I do, I have real doubts right now about the system. I have real doubts right now about, where we go from here, about whether Hansi Flick can adapt in any way, about whether we can evolve, about whether we can recapture our absolute best level. I've got doubts about all of that. But in terms of Flick, the thing that I will say is, he has been failed by the board. He has been absolutely let down, because last season, it was phenomenal. What he was able to do with this squad of players, what he was able to do immediately after coming in, he worked miracles at this club. And at no point has he been backed by those above him. He's wanted certain signings, he's wanted strengthening in certain areas of this squad. He has received virtually nothing from Barca. And what I would say right now is, a lot of people then will say, well, the money's not there. Looking ahead at the summer, if Barca don't do anything, the money's not there. If the money is still not there, please tell us. Please stop keeping us in the dark right here. I'm talking to Laporta. I'm talking here to the hierarchy at the club. If there is no money still, be honest about it. Because at this point here, you can't just keep stringing us along saying, well, we're Barca, we're the biggest club in the world, we've got all these financial opportunities, we've got the stadium opening back up, we've got all of these sponsorship deals, and yet we still can't buy anyone. And we blame La Liga. Of course, the restrictions don't help us. We blame FFP. But where is the backing for our coach right now? Because what's inconceivable to me, guys, and this really irritates me, the naivety at the club. It really, really does. You look at the January transfer window. I've spoken about this already. I've spoken about it many, many times. Again, the club did nothing. We brought in João Cancelo. We paid several million to bring him in on loan. I will tell you right now, Flick did not want him. There is no part of Flick that thought in January, the one thing that I could do with, it's Cancelo. That is absolute nonsense. And you can see by the way that he's used him, barely at all since he arrived at the club. But other than that, in January, we did nothing. And then we hear rumours in the media about, next season, we're going to have Ferran Torres again as the 9. We're going to renew Lewandowski. We're going to keep things basically as we are. We've got the squad to compete. No, we haven't. We have an 11. We've got several key players in that squad. We've got quality there. There's no denying that. We've got very, very talented players. But do you have a full squad of them? No, you don't. Especially defensively. The fullback areas at Barca. How long have we been crying out for fullbacks, guys? How many transfer windows have we said, you need more there, you need more cover, you need more quality, you need more depth? The club don't care. The club are not doing anything at all to address those areas. The back four is screaming out for attention. And remember that in terms of the defence, all we've done ahead of this season was let Inigo Martinez go for absolutely nothing. We took away one of our most dependable, one of our most important defenders, the organiser at the back, and we did nothing. We did absolutely nothing to replace him. That is naive. That is a group of people there inside the club who suddenly thought, everything's fine. Everything's good. We're just going to rely on Flick to get us through here. We don't have to spend. We don't have to really look around for signings. Everything is all good. We did nothing. And if we continue in this way, if we continue to think, we've got what we need. We don't need to strengthen. We don't need to look outside here. Other clubs are getting better. Other clubs are showing ambition. Other clubs are doing things to evolve and progress and to take steps forward. If we keep standing still, we are going to fall further and further and further behind. And like I say, I know there's financial concerns, but if there's no money, if there really is no money, please tell us. Please put us out of our misery here. Because how much longer can we continue to fall behind the rest? So indeed, guys, those there are some very honest thoughts from me that, again, it's not just based around this game. It's not just based around the loss to Atletico Madrid. I have felt this way for much of the season, and it's all just coming down right now. It's all really just falling apart in the worst way. But please let me know your thoughts, on Hansi Flick's system, on the players that we see out there, on the depth of the squad, on the planning from the club. Please let me know every thought that you have, every feeling, every emotion. Let me know it in the comments down below, guys. I will wait to hear your opinions. I'm really, really intrigued by what you guys are feeling right now. I will, of course, see you soon with more videos coming up now. But thank you indeed for your great support. Sorry again about the result yesterday. It was disappointing. It was frustrating. Hopefully, we can find a way to pick ourselves up. I will see you soon. But until next time, as always, Vejka, El Barça.